This is episode 25 of On the DOT, your go-to source for information about the Indiana Department of Transportation. Every month we take you on a deep dive into the inner workings of the agency to answer your burning questions about roads, bridges, and everything in between. On this month's episode, we're highlighting the major projects that will have statewide impacts in our Southeast District, headquartered in Seymour, with Communications Director Annie Walker and Public Relations Director Natalie Garrett. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the latest installment of On the DOT.
So, sitting here with Annie Walker and Natalie Garrett from our Seymour District. How are you guys?
Doing great.
Doing great.
Glad to hear it. So, today we're talking, Seymour District. And I've wanted to do this for a long time, highlight our districts because we've got so many statewide projects going on. But then you look in our districts and we've got projects like, I-69. We've got projects like Sherman Minton, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, that are of statewide interest, that affect the statewide transportation system in a pretty significant way. I mean, we're talking about, you guys, they're localized to your district, but, somebody in LaPorte might really care about I-69. So we're talking about those kinds of things today. So I'm grateful to have you guys on. So let's just start off, tell us, who you are, introduce yourselves to the listeners, tell us what you do at NDOT.
All right. Well, Jason, thanks for having us. My name is Annie Walker. I'm the Communications Director here at NDOT for the Seymour District. This is my, going on second year in this role.
And doing a fantastic job, might I add.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You have to say that because I'm right in front of you, right?
Yeah, she paid me well. That's...
All right, and I'll let Nellie take it from here.
And my name's Natalie Garrett, and I'm the Public Relations Director for Seymour District. So kind of the public face of the district, providing information to the traveling public and the media.
And see, that's one of the cool things. You guys, you both have your separate roles, but I kind of do both things for Vincennes District. So it's kind of neat having us all of us communications people right here in one room. So let's go ahead and jump on into our topics. And, we kind of talked beforehand and we discussed a few topics that we wanted to talk about. And one of the biggest, maybe the biggest project that we have going on statewide is I-69. We just recently completed a section of I-69, and that's in your all's district. Now, so is that, for my purposes, is that the connecting link between Bloomington and Indianapolis?
Getting there. So the section in Martinsville just opened right before Christmas. There was a year-long closure of State Road 37 to allow crews to work faster and safer to get that section complete. So now I-69 is open to free flow traffic all the way up to State Road 144, and that's near the Morgan-Johnson County line. So that's 17-ish miles that's open to traffic within Seymour District.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I am so grateful for that to be open now. I can't tell you how many times I've driven through Martinsville and thought, wow, I will be so excited when I-69 opens. Because, we did have quite a bit of significant traffic backup out there. Can you talk a little bit about what you guys heard during that process? It couldn't have been completely popular.
I would say definitely not popular once it started. I think once people got used to the idea, and especially as we got closer, to opening that section, people started getting excited. The questions just kept coming in. When is it opening? When is it opening? And we did meet our deadline of open to traffic by the end of 2021 with a few days to spare.
Isn't it amazing when a plan comes together?
Yes, we love it when that happens, of course. But, we've already heard many compliments, many positive things of people, just getting where they need to go quicker, the safety impacts. So lots of good things happening out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk a little bit about... before we jump to that particular topic that I was going to, I remember when we opened Section 4 of I-69 from Crane to Bloomington, and, very similar to what you just described, we had people asking, hey, when's this going to open? When's this going to open? And now that it's open, or when it opened, rather, it was a big to-do. We had the governor up just like you guys did. We had so many people who were just ecstatic not to be having to take back county roads. Of course, in our situation, Section 4, we had people driving through, county roads, things of that nature. There was quite a bit of involvement, and I'm not sure exactly, where. So let me ask that question. What was traffic like? Where were we routing traffic while we had 37 closed?
Luckily, we did have the option to route traffic on to State Road 39, State Road 67, up to State Road 144. So that's a pretty decent detour. Still out of the way for people, but not as significant as it could have been. And, we did our best to keep people, especially large trucks, off of county roads. That's not always possible. Lots of drivers just, they follow that GPS, and where the GPS takes them, that's where they go.
We're dealing with that right now in Petersburg, but that's another story.
Yes. But, luckily we did have that option for the detour, to give people, another state route as an option during that closure.
And that's hard too, because state routes, they're not always right there close and convenient. Like I know, especially in some of our more rural areas, a lot of times that official detour with all the state roads, they could be 50 miles or so. So, it's really nice to have state roads close by for this particular closure. Definitely,
because I'm sure Vincent's district is very similar. That's not always the case.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about, the connection now from southwestern Indiana. Your bullet point here says safer and quicker connection, but let's unpack that a little bit, because, I-69 is, it's been one of those topics that has been very, very public facing. A lot of people have known about this for a lot of years and have been anticipating it. So let's talk a little bit about some of the benefits of having I-69 now connected from, Evansville all the way to Indianapolis and beyond.
So by opening this section of I-69, we're eliminating a number of at-grade crossings, which, is always a safety concern. Even if there are stop signs, stop lights, drivers make errors.
They do.
Whether, there's other things involved, but, by eliminating those at-grade crossings, we're eliminating the chance of, a T-bone collision, those more severe crashes. We're also, the average travel time from Martinsville to Indianapolis, at least once the entire section is open all the way up to Indianapolis, the travel time will be reduced by 11 minutes, which doesn't sound like a lot, when you just say 11 minutes. But, if you're someone that drives from Martinsville to Indianapolis for work 5 days a week, twice a day, that's 2 hours, out of your week that you're saving, that, you would be spending driving.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. And, let's put that into another perspective as well. 11 minutes might be the difference between, somebody's truck shutting off and them having to park on the side of the road versus making it to a rest area somewhere. So, it doesn't sound like a lot, 11 minutes. You're absolutely right. But yeah, it's a huge impact for commerce, for people who drive the roads for a living, things of that nature. It's a major thing for them. So what was the cost on, this particular section? Was this section 5 or 6? I can't remember.
Section 6.
Okay.
And it's been deemed I-69 finish line is kind of the name that we've given it. It's the 6th and final section of I-69 between Martinsville and Indianapolis. And once we reach Indianapolis, we'll have reached the finish line. I-69 will be complete throughout Indiana. So the entire section from Martinsville up to Indianapolis is a $2 billion project. And that's fully funded through part of Governor Holcomb's Next Level Connections program. This project has been a long time coming. The finish line is in reach.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're excited about that as well. So really quickly, we're going to take a break here in just a minute. But let's talk about the work that's going to continue. So we're not completely finished here, right?
Correct. Work will actually continue in Martinsville through next year. Some final paving, that finishing work there in Martinsville. And then work is going to continue north of Martinsville as well. Some additional paving work, bridge work. Mainline work will really pick up in Johnson County. They haven't seen a lot of mainline work just yet. So pavement removal, paving will start to turn those lanes of State Road 37 to I-69. A number of interchanges will be constructed in Johnson County at State Road 144, Smith Valley Road, and County Line Road. And then work will continue north into Marion County, which is actually Greenfield District. So it'll move out of Seymour District. But, we'll be keeping tabs on that as I-69 makes its way up to I-465.
Absolutely. And I can tell you, once I-69 is out of your district, it is such a breather. I can tell you that from personal experience. All right, well, when we come back, we're going to talk about a couple more projects of statewide interest. And one in particular that I want to talk about and is near and dear to my heart is the Sherman Minton Bridge over there in Louisville. So we'll be right back with more on the DOT.
In 2019, distracted driving was a factor in nearly 2,000 injury crashes in Indiana, killing more than 20 people. To make Hoosier roads safer, hands-free while driving is now the law. That means you can't have a mobile device in your hand while driving. You can still use a phone or tablet in your car, but you must use a speakerphone, headset, Bluetooth, or other hands-free technology. Go hands-free. Learn about the new law at handsfreeindiana.com.
This is Sergeant Todd Ringel with Indiana State Police. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, distracted driving claims thousands of lives every year. Many drivers use their cell phones while driving. That creates an enormous potential for fatalities and injuries on our roadways. Distracted driving is any activity that diverts your attention from driving, including talking or texting on your phone. You cannot drive safely unless the task of driving has your full attention. You can help us reduce crashes by putting down your cell phone, avoiding all other distractions, and just drive.
Did you know that INDOT also has an eye on the sky? INDOT inspects nearly 120 aviation facilities in Indiana, including seaplane bases and heliports. To learn more about these and other multimodal programs, go to multimodal.indot.in.gov. We're more than just Hoosier roads.
Welcome back to On the DOT with Annie Walker and Natalie Garrett from our Seymour District. And last segment, we talked about I-69 finish line ad nauseum. I mean, that's one of the big projects. I'm sure you guys are probably tired of talking about it as well. So we'll move on now to a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and why it's near and dear to my heart. I travel to Kentucky pretty frequently. I used to take that route quite a bit as well when I went to college. But my parents live in Kentucky. I drive that way, and so the Sherman Minton Renewal is a pretty big deal over there in Floyd County. And of course, that's the Louisville market, and so it's a pretty visible big deal. So tell me a little bit about that project.
So definitely one of the positive things that came out of 2021 is this is when we actually started work on this project. We work closely with consultants. This is a rejuvenation project that basically works on rehab and replacement bridge elements. The expectation is to add 30 years lifespan to this bridge, and it's important because it's a huge connector between Louisville and southern Indiana. So.
Yeah, and to kind of put it in perspective for maybe those who aren't in the area, Louisville and Jeffersonville, Indiana, they are connected by this bridge, and you have to cross the Ohio River. And I know there's a lot of river crossings, but the Ohio River is just a monstrous river. Let's be honest. It pretty much spans the entire length of, from the eastern seaboard all the way to the Mississippi River. So it's a huge river. You got barge traffic, and especially in a metropolitan area like Louisville, where, literally the city goes to the banks of the river. I mean, you're looking at, one, major traffic counts. You're also looking at major closures and mobility issues as a part of this project. Now, let me ask this. Is the bridge completely closed, or are we still allowing some traffic on it?
So the plan is to allow some traffic on there. We had reached out to local communities to see what would be the most beneficial for them and help those communities out. And the overall expectation at this point is to remain open as much as possible. The contractors are limited as far as a specific number of ramp or full directional closures each year. So there will be occasional closures. However, the plan is to limit lanes and less closures. Okay.
And so when this project is done, will the Sherman Minton remain untolled? That's another big thing that I know a lot of people talk about, because every bridge down in Louisville has a toll on it now. And that's because we've built some pretty impressive structures like the Lewis and Clark Bridge. I remember that from a few years back. Everything that we've done down there has, it's come with that. And so a question that I've heard personally is, will we have that toll? So is that the case on this one?
Definitely a point of contention. There are no plans to toll the Sherman Minton Bridge, even once it's complete. The plan is for it to remain untolled, even though this is a $137 million project. That's part of our capital program, so no tolls for the Sherman Minton.
And see, that's a big deal. And I think it's important to differentiate between some of the other projects we've done. This is a renewal project. This is basically a really big bridge rehab job. Something you would see on any state road where we've got bridges down to one lane where they've replaced the pavement or something to that effect. This is kind of the same thing, just on a much larger scale. Whereas I know with Lewis and Clark, correct me if I'm wrong, that was a complete build, wasn't it? Or was it at the very least, it was a major job where it was a little bit bigger than what we've got going on with Sherman Minton?
For sure, a major job. That was before my time at NDOT.
Yeah.
So
I do. So mea culpa here. I'll walk that question back a little bit, but I do know as a part of that project, we also built the tunnel that's over there as well. So there was a lot more involvement as far as building new structures, or at the very least, it was a much bigger project as far as dollars and interruptions to traffic and things of that nature. And that is why the tolls were added to that project, as that's what I understand anyway. So we'll get off of that topic, and I'll quit rambling about things that I know very little about. And let's talk a little bit about what the Sherman Minton Renewal means. You mentioned you're adding up to 30 years of life to the structure. So let's talk about some of the work that's going on. What are they actually doing on the bridge?
So they're doing a number of different things: replacement, refurbishment of decks, rehabilitation, and replacements of structural steel elements are just a few things. Also, new lighting, drainage repairs, as well as painting.
So we've got all of this work actually, coming. And when did it begin? This is ongoing, right?
Yes. So this is with any project, but especially with these more major projects. Public involvement begins years in advance. So part of the planning process, we're having public meetings. We're meeting with local stakeholders. We're meeting with businesses. We're meeting with local governments, to kind of get their thoughts, get their comments on the upcoming work, get their ideas. How should this work be carried out? What are the impacts to those entities going to be? How can we mitigate those, maybe negative impacts? What should we consider when completing this construction project? So that starts years in advance, and it continues throughout the project. We're doing our very best to keep the public in the loop, especially when we may do a directional closure on the bridge. I believe there's a 28 or 30-day notice that we're required to give the traveling public, and there are multiple ways that the public can stay up to date just on the project in general. That's ShermanMintonRenewal.com. So there's a whole website devoted to this project, as well as the Sherman Minton Renewal on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Okay, so lots of ways for people to keep up with what's going on that particular project. And, I wanted to kind of expand a little bit on the, it starts in advance. We're talking multiple years in the future, as you mentioned, but we're not only looking at local businesses and homes and things of that nature. We're also looking at, our environmental impacts. What are we going to disturb as a part of this project, as far as, the environment, trees, water? What are we going to be looking at? And I'm not necessarily looking for an answer from either of you on this. I just wanted to kind of expand on that a little bit, because there are lots of different things. People will often say, well, NDOT doesn't think about this type of stuff. But in reality, we're thinking about this, 5-6 years even before the project starts. So wanted to just kind of expand on that a little bit. If you have comments, I'll be happy to take them.
Yeah, that's especially true for any project along the Ohio River. Not only just the disturbance of, soil, water, things like that, but there's the whole archaeological
Didn't even think about
layer.
that.
There pretty much along the entire river is a historical site. Thousands of years ago, Native Americans settled along the river because there was a water source. Mm-hmm. So anytime we do work along the river or, a significant waterway, it's not uncommon that we have to do archaeological digs and investigations, to make sure that, we're doing our due diligence to preserve, any type of historical resources that may be in that area.
Yeah, for sure. I remember when I-69 Section 4 opened, when we were working on it, I remember, if we disturbed something, I think it was in the contract that we had, for every acre we disturbed, we had to either replace or enhance, 3 acres of land around the project. And so wanted to say all of that and make all of that point to say simply this, NDOT is on the environmentally friendly side. We're on the historically friendly side. We are trying to mitigate any kind of risks associated with losing, environmental resources or historical artifacts. And I'm glad you brought that up. So we're going to go to our next break here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about another project of statewide interest. And I do want to say that I-65 has been a huge topic for a long, long time, and we're finally going to talk about it, give everybody a little bit of a resource for what's going on here in the next little bit. So stick around. We'll be back with more on the DOT.
Somebody needs to report that pothole.
Why aren't they mowing the grass in the median?
When are they going to fix this road?
There's an easy way to get answers to those questions and report the problems you see on interstates, U.S. routes, and state roads. Dial 1-855-INDOT4U to talk to a live customer service professional. That's 855-463-6848. Hate talking on the phone or have a fear of human interaction? We've got you covered. Go online to INDOT4U.com to use our Report a Concern tool. You can also report a concern through our INDOT mobile app for iPhone and Android. If you've got questions, we've got answers at 855-INDOT4U or online at INDOT4U.com.
At the Indiana Department of Transportation, it's not all work and no play. INDOT offers employees unmatched work-life balance, competitive benefits, and perks like a 37.5-hour work week, paid holidays, paid time off, career paths, and tuition reimbursement. Entry-level positions start at $19 per hour. CDL drivers can earn even more, so stop grinding and start thriving. Go to INDOTjobs.com or text INDOT Careers to 468-311 to apply now.
Did you know that INDOT Transit helps to serve more than 32 million riders on 65 transit systems all across the state of Indiana? INDOT is more than just Hoosier Roads. To learn more, go to multimodal.indot.in.gov.
And welcome back to On the DOT in our final segment with Annie Walker and Natalie Garrett. And we're highlighting our Seymour District and some of the cool things they've got going on down there. And our final topic today is going to be, I hesitate to say it like this, but a road that has been talked about and talked about and talked about. It's something that it's been in the back of their minds. We're talking I-65. And for those who don't know what I-65 is, which I can't imagine that anybody doesn't know what I-65 is at this point, but it's the interstate that runs from Kentucky and Louisville all the way up to Indianapolis. And where does it run north of there? I don't even know that.
It goes up towards Chicago area.
Okay,
I believe.
That's right, because you can take I-65 pretty much all the way to Chicago. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's another major interstate project that we've got going on. We mentioned I-69 earlier, and we'll talk a little bit more about how you can stay in touch with I-69 stuff a little bit later, because we did fail to mention all of the great websites you got, and we'll put all those in the descriptions as well. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about what we're doing on I-65.
Okay, so right now on I-65, we are working on this 4-mile section between State Road 58 and State Road 46, which is just south of the Columbus area. This is an added travel lane project where they're adding our 3rd lane into this location. We had just completed the section between US 50 Seymour to State Road 58, and this is one of those projects that is pretty near and dear to my heart, just because when I started in this position, one of the very first projects I was able to be a part of, the ribbon cutting, was for the Seymour District added travel lane. So to see it go from there to this new section in Columbus has been absolutely wonderful for me to see its progress.
And let's be honest, I-65, I don't know if you guys know the exact traffic counts, but it's a major highway. Like this is, we talk about I-69 and being a connector and adding, another north-south interstate. But I mean, I-65 has been around for, gosh, I don't even know how long I-65 has been an interstate. And we're talking major amounts of traffic from the Louisville area all the way up to connecting another major city in the United States. So we're talking massive amounts of traffic on a 2-lane road in a lot of cases. So these added travel lanes, talk about how much they're needed.
So, truck traffic is increasing, commerce is increasing, just general travel in general. Traffic counts are rising throughout Indiana, and I'm sure really the entire United States, but specifically to I-65, we're adding a 3rd lane in each direction, section by section. I believe the end goal is to have all of I-65 expanded to at least 3 lanes throughout the entire state. Unfortunately, that's not something that we can do all at once or overnight. So, we're working section by section throughout the state to add that 3rd lane in each direction, over time.
And so what is the one that we're working on right now? And, let me back up a little bit. What is the most recent one that we've taken on? And then what are we going next and looking forward to the future?
So we just completed the most recent section was from US 50 at Seymour to State Road 58. That was a 14 or 15 mile section, so pretty significant construction there. And then currently we are expanding 65 between State Road 58 up to State Road 46 at Columbus. That work began in early 2021, and that will continue through next fall.
Okay, and so through next fall, that's 2023, correct? Or is 2022?
2022.
Okay. So I have
my apologies.
No, that's my fault because I don't think quickly on my feet like that, especially when we're talking dates. But that's not the final. I mean, you mentioned we're doing this throughout the entire state, and it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, these are fairly involved projects in which we have to buy right of way, in which we have to, make major plans, and again that environmental piece. Trying to plan in the future. It takes 5 to 6 years for a project to become a project, regardless. But we're talking about, major traffic impacts. So we are currently in our winter season, and so probably those impacts are not as big right now. But let's talk about what those look like once traffic starts seeing those construction projects ramp back up. So when do we start the next phase of these projects, and what do you guys expect to see once that happens?
So in the spring, likely sometime in March, all of that's weather dependent, and you never know, here in the lovely state of Indiana, what those impacts are going to be. But traffic will shift all traffic over to the northbound side of 65. So mainline work can continue on the southbound side. So adding that 3rd lane southbound. Bridge work will continue. That's something that they're able to work on this winter. But once spring hits, we'll hit the ground running with pavement removal, getting things ready to add that 3rd lane, and then get underway with concrete paving. And then, we'll move into the finishing stages. And this project also includes asphalt resurfacing from State Road 46 north to US 31. So that's not adding a 3rd lane, but we're going to be resurfacing that section of 65. And then we will also be overlaying the deck on the I-65 bridge over State Road 46 right there in Columbus.
Okay, so lots of work. And that's not a complete pavement replacement. That's just an overlay, right?
Yeah, just an overlay.
Okay. And so that's good news for those who might be traveling through and maybe on a project that's time sensitive. That's just a quick mill and fill is the lingo that we would use. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next project you said is scheduled to begin in 2023, and that is the 56 to 160 road. Talk a little bit about that, and that's another added travel lanes, correct? Okay. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit because I'm so unfamiliar with the project, and do forgive me for that. Is there anything that people need to know about the next section that's coming that they might be interested in, or that might have major significant impacts?
So I think the the maintenance of traffic plans are fairly similar for a lot of these. Lots of traffic shifts, shifting all of I-65 traffic over to one side or the other. That can make lanes a little tight. So reduce speed limits, things like that. So there will be some pretty major traffic impacts. Like we said, that next section scheduled to start in 2023, and that will be from roughly Scottsburg to about Henryville. So going towards the southern part of the district, there in Clark and Scott County. So that's kind of the next section of 65 on the agenda, at least as of now.
Okay. And you mentioned that we're not necessarily doing these in any specific order. We're not doing them from north to south or from south to north or anything like that. Where can people find out more about what might be the next steps on this project?
So the INDOT Southeast on Facebook and Twitter is a great place. Also on the INDOT website. And there's also a great tool, the Next Level Roads map.
I love the Next Level Roads map so much.
I do too. That's nextlevelroads.com. So you can filter by district, type of project, current projects, future projects, the type of project. You can take a look statewide if that's what you're interested in to see, what's going on currently, what's coming up. It kind of gives just some general information on the location, what kind of work's being done, when it's expected to start or finish, if it's something going on currently. But that's a great resource. And again, that's nextlevelroads.com.
Okay, perfect. And I will throw out there, if you're interested in any of these projects, you can also sign up to get our press releases and all of that via either email or text message, and that's at alerts.indot.in.gov. We'll go ahead and plug, I mentioned we'd circle back to I-69. We didn't get to plug the websites, but you do have a website set up for the I-69 project as well, correct?
Yes, very similar to the Sherman Minton project. There is an entire website devoted to the I-69 project. It's got a lot of great resources, a maps page, photos and videos, traffic updates, and that's i69finishline.com. And then similar type of information shared daily on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So just search I-69 Finish Line on any of those platforms. Give us a like and a follow.
Absolutely. And we'll put all of these, we know we're throwing a lot of links at everybody, so we'll put all of those in the description of this episode. I appreciate you guys being in. I know that, there's a lot of work going on statewide, and it's really nice to highlight some of our districts. Definitely some great people, in our Seymour district, in all of our districts, to be quite honest with you, because let's just be honest. People make what we do go round. I mean, they are the driving force behind everything that we do here at INDOT. And we're public servants at heart. So got to say thank you to everyone who's out there on the roads, especially right now. This episode's coming out in the dead of winter when we've had to deal with traffic impacts from snow and things like that. So all of those people who are out there on the roads, I think I join Annie and Natalie both in saying thank you for what you do. And I don't think I have anything else. I think we've reached the end of our episode, and just wanted to say thank you for being on. I know that it's definitely sometimes it can be difficult to talk about some of the projects we have going on because they are so intricate, but you guys did a wonderful job. So thank you guys for being on.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
This has been On the DOT, a production of the Indiana Department of Transportation. For more information, please visit our website at indot.in.gov. For the latest updates on road conditions or construction, you can download our INDOT mobile app for Apple and Android devices. Submit your roadway concerns by calling 1-855-INDOT-FOR-YOU or online at indot4u.com. Find all of that information in the description of this episode.
Full episodes of On the DOT are available on YouTube by searching for INDOT. You can also follow INDOT and all 6 of our districts on Facebook and Twitter. If you like what you're hearing, please be sure to leave us a rating on your favorite podcast platform. Join us again every third Thursday for new episodes of On the DOT. Until then, travel safely, and thank you for joining us on the DOT.